love it, brother. Oh God, I forgot about that. I've been so offended by it, I've never actually listened to it. Oh, this is so bad. Oh, what is that? Oh,
Come on, right now.
You know what's crazy is that that's a guy who no doubt has poured his heart and soul into his musical career. And like he went into that and like at some point they're like, do a ooh, ooh, ooh. And Buddy's like, man,
no. That came out organically. It wasn't planned. They were in the studio and he's like, just wait till they hear this. And then he goes right into it. You know, that was tracked several times. You know, first take did not do it. They were like, you know what? I got a little more. Give me one more shot here.
And you know that like they were driving home that night at 4 a.m. after leaving the studio, just blaring like "Let's Go Blue Jays." Yeah.
They were like nailed it.
And now two older middle-aged or approaching middle-aged gentlemen are like crapping on their hard effort. Now, wait, hold on. That would have been like tribute to the '93 Jays, so that's also a 31-year-old song. So
it shows.
Yeah.
What I see when I hear that is like the opening sequence to like the Ninja Turtles cartoon. That's what I picture. That's sort of animation. A couple of Ninja Turtles, some cheese pizzas. I don't know why. Drew.
Yeah.
Here we are. Drew Jays Talk. It is Friday, August 9th. Going into a weekend, we got some baseball to talk about.
We do, and honestly, we haven't been back since the second half started. Things have been a little bit chaotic. I know you've been working hard. I've been teaching a class out in California, so I've been missing a little bit of Blue Jays. I'm not going to lie. So here's my question, my man. I've been a bad fan. Like the last 2 weeks since the All-Star break, I watched a little bit of the All-Star game, and I've sort of been disconnected ever since then, although I've been keeping up as best I can. What are the big things I got to know about, man?
Well, Drew, first of all, you're not a bad fan. You're a great fan. And you know, the good thing about fandom is, you know, you're in this for life. So don't beat yourself up for being a busy fellow. Listen, fans of the show, fans of the Drew Jays Talk will know this has been quite a heavy few weeks in Toronto. There was many moves made. I think we anticipated maybe a quarter of them. I think everybody and their mother. Speaking of, it was my mom's birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Mom! Everyone knew that Yusei Kikuchi was no longer going to be a J, and you know, I think maybe some of us figured that Kevin Kiermaier would move on. I didn't actually. I thought Kevin would stay here. I think some of us probably knew that Yimi Garcia was a good trade candidate, but man, oh man, I'm gonna say it, the Jays cleaned house, and we got some interesting guys back. It took me a while to appreciate that, but you know, before we get too far, how do you feel? Like I'll list some of the names who have left us, but they didn't leave us, so they're not Jays. Just in your gut, how do you feel about some of these transactions as a whole, and then we'll look at a few of them up close.
You know what? I'm trying to put the most positive spin on it as possible. First thing I think, trying to stay in vibe with what we talk about on this show, is that the players that I really liked, and some of these players I had come to really like I was a big Trevor Richards guy, and I think they should have got more for Trevor Richards. I think that that's a great trade for the people who picked him up, because I think he's got one of the 3 or 4 best pitches in baseball, just the pitch. And so honestly, you know, I would have liked to see more for them. But I also try to look at it this way. All of these guys who otherwise were going to have a rough fall now have a chance to play baseball where it really matters. And so I'm going to try to look at it that way. It's too bad that the Jays aren't there. But you know what? I wasn't really surprised. What I was interested in seeing is how far they went. Are we going to start seeing them dip into the guys who have 2 years left? And what kind of deals can they get for them? I thought maybe Springer would go. Obviously, there was going to be some money that they'd have to keep on there. But probably they didn't necessarily get all that many takers. I loved Kevin Kiermaier. I've loved Kevin Kiermaier before he was a J. I loved how he was a J. And I was hoping he'd have a better year when he came back. But at the same time, I also recognize that him moving out, one, gives him a chance to play some great baseball, but also we just don't have room now. If we're going to move forward, it's really nice to see more room get made. So I'm the only thing I'm worried about, man, is that I'm not sure that the decision, which is a very Toronto decision to make of all their sports teams, is to say we still want to compete next year. And I think that they might have missed the opportunity to be better 3 years from now by holding out hope that somehow they're going to be able to compete with the Yankees and more specifically the Orioles next year. I know good pitching is good pitching, but I kind of think it might have been a decent chance to move Gausman as well. But obviously then you're committing to some pretty significant stuff. So maybe they can't justify paying Bo and or Vladdy they're gutting for 3 years. Maybe if they're like, we can do it for 1.5, it makes sense. So that's a long answer, but I was surprised Pearson went. I'm more surprised the people who didn't go than the people who did, to be completely honest.
So Pearson was a surprise for me, but I get it. I don't think that was a baseball trade as much as it was hey, let's give this guy an opportunity to see what a change of scenery could do. That's what I saw there. Danny Jansen. Danny's
we knew it, but
did you though? I didn't. Yeah. Maybe I had my head in the sand, but I was when I saw Danny's name, I took a moment. That one hurt. Jano, like it's Jano. Like he's one of the guys I feel like underappreciated probably career-wise in terms of being a catcher and one of the longest-serving Jays. Obviously we saw Tim Meza get DFA'd, and then earlier in the season we saw Cavan Biggio, and I just read yesterday that the Dodgers have let him go as well. So these are some guys that you've been rooting for, and you find things to love about their game, and then when they're gone, it's like you miss them. But on the flip side, and by the way, IKF, I know he was injured, but IKF was a guy I was just starting to really admire. I still admire him, but he's wearing a Pirates uniform now.
Yeah.
Here's the plus side. By the way, Justin Turner, I think we knew he was gone. Here's the plus side, and I think you've already nailed it, but in some of these cases, these guys are going to get a shot to perform at the high end. The Twins are right there in the wild card, and Trevor Richards is going to get a chance to show what he can do there. And obviously KK, he's not going to have an everyday role, I don't think, with the Dodgers, but certainly he's going to have an opportunity to win a ring, which is pretty cool.
It'd be nice to see Varsho in center all the time too. Like,
honestly, my goodness, I don't want.
You know how good a defender you have to be for me to be like, I'd like Kiermaier to make way so Varsho can play where he should.
Listen, I have a whole 10-minute spiel about Varsho, but real quick, and then we'll move on from the trade deadline because I know people are probably over it by now, but it was a couple weeks ago now. But we did get some interesting pieces back in that haul, and the one I'm most excited about is obviously because he's here is Joey Loperfido. Mm-hmm. We've decided in our household. I actually sent a note to Mike Wilner, seeing if he would grab onto this idea. He hasn't yet, but we figure if Joey Loperfido hits just a soft infield, not infield, maybe a soft single, just over the infielders into the outfield, we're going to call it a little Loper Looper. Wanted to float that by you, see what you thought.
Loper Looper.
Emily's favorite thing on the broadcast is when Buck says, it's a little looper. Yeah. And so a little Loper Looper.
Look, man, the Jays appear, judging by how pissed Seattle, I think it is, that they've done well there. And the general overview I've seen from the pushback. And again, these are people who supposedly know baseball. And, most of these deadline deals, you don't ever see the names of these prospects again unless you're the Nationals and like everyone you traded for Soto is with the team now. But I think ultimately the general consensus is the Jays did very well with that particular trade. I thought Trevor
Yeah.
Richards was worth more than that. I thought Garcia was worth more than that, especially in a seller's market. But like you said, you got a guy already up and playing. And I'll be honest with you, I'm more excited to watch the Jays now after the sale because we knew that they weren't going to make the playoffs. We probably knew that earlier than I'd like to admit. But when you're not going to make the playoffs and you're just watching the guys who underperform to get them to that position, then you like, why bother watching? But now I get to watch and see Ernie Clement play every day, and I get to see Barger play every day. And that's actually more interesting than the names they signed to try to get them over the hump. And if they're not going to get there, I want to see these guys because they're really likable. And I know that sounds like a stupid positive fan thing to say, like, who cares? Can they hit? But like, these seem like a bunch of good guys. And I know you say don't call them the kids because they're older than Vladdy and Bo, but I'm enjoying the fact that now when you tune into the Jays, it's not just about whether they win or lose, because honestly, how much does it matter at this point? But it's about looking ahead to your future and being like, maybe two of the spots we're worried we have to fill through free agency can be filled internally. Like Horowitz certainly seems like he can hit major league pitching. It certainly
he's
seems
competent
that way.
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you and I have talked about this in the past, but you know, I love more than just playoff baseball. I mean, playoff baseball is special. Don't get me wrong.
I
But
like race baseball more than playoff baseball, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But I have to work really hard to remember that the Texas Rangers barely won the World Series last year. Like, I have to work really hard to remember that. 2 years ago, and I'm a big baseball fan, don't remember who won.
Yeah.
But I do remember how some of those games made me feel. And, you know, I was lucky enough. My good pal Victor took me to a game 2 weeks ago. And we got really nice seats and sat. And, you know, we spent 3 hours just talking. It was an afternoon game. Jays got destroyed. It was it was a tough game. We got absolutely trounced. But it was a wonderful time. And you know, win or lose, there's a lot to love about baseball. I think you and I both agree about that. And it is exciting to see some of the new crop come up and get a shot. So that's a great thing. Dalton Varsho.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the I think I wrote it in the description of today. Let's talk about the silver linings in the storm clouds of this season, because I was actually writing some down yesterday, thinking about getting together today, and Varsho's on my list as well. How so on yours?
What some people would call a throwaway season at this point, and it's got to be tough for these guys in the clubhouse because they're seeing and reading, the Jays are the worst, they're terrible, they're awful, fire Atkins, fire Shapiro, fire Schneider. They're hearing all this stuff, and these guys have ears. They're humans. They hear this stuff. Jays are the worst. Jays are the worst. And then you see Varsho go out there and float on clouds. Is how I would describe it. He's making catchers that Chris Bassett and Kevin Gossman, I think, are beyond thankful for, first of all. But I think they're blown away by it. I don't think any of those guys are expecting 3/4 of those catches. The guy comes from nowhere, it seems like. And this was a catcher.
He was a catcher. That's what gets me.
He was a catcher.
Yeah. But I mean, the problem with Varsho, look, I love watching him field, and he's got more pop this year, and everyone said that when they traded him over, that hey, this guy's got some pop, and in a stadium like the Jays, as opposed to where he was hitting, you're going to see more of them, and you saw some of that. I mean, he still swings and misses an awful lot, but like, we got the best outfielder in baseball defensively in that trade, and the trade's still a bad trade. Is the challenge, right? And that to me will always be a head scratcher. I mean, Moreno's not quite what he was last year to make us all feel horrible, but I think when you boil it down to it, we got the best outfielder in baseball, and that's a decent trade. Like, when you get the best at anything in baseball on your team, and he's still got less than, I think, 1,000 or 1,500. I think we talked about this before. Major league at bats. That's really not that much. I think Varsho's going to get much better. I just don't know if whatever he brings will ever equal what those two guys that they got rid of and probably could have used this year will be. But I mean, the Jays outfield defense, one of my other silver linings is whatever you'll say about him, and he got super hot in the middle and showed why he's a great ball player. Like, at no point has Springer been playing poorly in right field. Like, he's he's made some like he's not the Kiermaier. He's the Pilar now. He's always looking for the Superman play out there in right field.
Yeah.
And I think we got to acknowledge he's been a dynamite fielder this year, even though he struggled offensively. Though at times he was the old George Springer, right?
I've seen a lot of spark from George. I wonder if in his core he's thinking, geez, I'm having a tougher time at the plate, so I'm gonna turn on this extra engine in the outfield. I mean, I don't know that George has ever been sort of lauded for his exceptional defense. I mean, maybe when he was with Houston. I don't remember it being a defensive star. I remember him being an offensive star.
He's a 73 rating, you know.
Okay. What, out of 100? Out of 100?
Oh yeah, like I'm just making a joke about what he's rated in the show, whatever it is.
Oh, got it. Yeah, I thought you meant some defensive matrix. Look, just to touch on Gabby Moreno. I mean, you got to give something to get something, but Gabby's hitting 260, OPS of 729 right now. He's played in 86 games out of. They got a backup catcher there, Tucker Barnhart, who's played 30 games. Do I make that trade again, Varsho, for Gabriel? I would have said no the week it happened, but I am coming around, and I guess that's what fandom is. You ride the emotional waves.
The problem for me, man, is there was two of them. Like, no matter how you slice it, could you have dealt? You got to give something to get something. And Lourdes, I could have done. Heck, maybe I could have handled Moreno if there's a lot of upside and they really needed him more. But
the two for one
double
well.
up. Yeah, it was a two for. Yeah. I got to ask you this, man. Like, because part of me is, as awful as this all unfolded is, like, part of me wants to hesitate to judge too harshly with the. Sorry, I almost used that term. I hate the Atkins and Shapiro piece. Yeah, is that this happened because they took a huge swing. Like this season happened because they had to pivot to all of their second choices, but they took the swing. And like when it really comes down to it, like if Ohtani had gone to the Jays, and I mean any team on earth could say this, how fundamentally different are things? They attempted to create a generational moment for Toronto sports. They went all in. For by all accounts, they did everything they could have done and they lost. But they played. And as a result, the Jays had a lousy season when they could have had an extraordinary one. But I'd rather have a team that goes for it. You know what I mean? Not we're good enough now. We can sell enough tickets. Let's just stop spending money because we're good enough that the stadium will sell out.
Yeah. I have to tell you a couple small things. I'm trying to keep everything in mind so I don't forget. But, back in 2015 when Alex Anthopoulos was running the team, he went all in. Tulo, David Price. You start bringing in some of these rental players, and you give away. We had was it Josh Johnson? We had Jose Reyes here. We had all kinds of Mark Burley. We had these guys, and that was Alex taking a big swing. And sometimes the big swing doesn't work. Sometimes it does, though.
True, but like what's interesting, go back to that big swing and look at everybody he gave away to sell the farm. How many of them turned into Major League Baseball players? And so he still gets that crap about selling the farm. I'm like, yeah, but like there weren't any good cows in that particular corral. You know what?
Speaking of books, I know we just had a book talk, but all right, Dickie, we gave away Thor for him.
Yes, but Thor pitched a hell of a lot fewer innings than R.A. Dickey did, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
Like Dickey had 4 seasons of the Jays pitching 200 innings, and Thor was devastating when he pitched. It's like Jansen's power, right? Like that guy's got magnets or whatever the hell attracts baseballs in the back of his hands. Like his bones aren't adamantium; they're made out of whatever like attracts baseballs to break hand bones.
Speaking of adamantium, Deadpool 3, Deadpool Wolverine. I saw that last week. Boy, oh boy, that's a funny movie.
It's magnificent entertainment with absolutely zero plot. But if you're going in looking for a nuanced plot, forget it. If you're looking for a little bit of Canadian love there too,
leave your cares behind. Yeah. Okay, speaking of Canadian love, that was a good segue. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., born in Montreal, Quebec, to Vlad Sr. and Vlad's mom. I don't know.
I was like, I'm wondering where he's going with this because does he know her name? But
the dreadlocks get cut.
Yeah.
and something happens. I don't know if it was legitimately just a did he walk into the barber's chair and say, hey, we need to make some changes here because something happened, and
Maybe it was Grimace.
and say that again.
Maybe it was Grimace, just like with the Mets. Maybe he went and
I
got
don't
himself
know.
a 10-pack McNugget meal, and that's all it took.
I don't know what more people need to see from Vladdy to believe in him. Frankly, through the lows, because there's a couple lows, but this is a guy who has trimmed up significantly. He's
We don't
25
even talk
years
about it
old.
anymore. We don't even talk about his weight anymore, right? It was the biggest
We
thing 2
don't.
years ago.
But you remember that, right? Like when he was in 2021, which is his great year, he was a heavier guy. I'm not going to call it baby fat. That's demeaning. But he was carrying some weight. He's in shape.
Yeah, and
He's
just one of
hitting
those guys.
everything.
He's one of those guys too that, like, no matter how good in shape he is, he's always going to look like he's not quite in shape. Like, that's just how some people are physically. Like,
Yeah.
but man, like, the number of people I know who are like trade Vladdy, and no matter what rebuild, whatever retool they're going, I'm like, you don't give away 2 mid-20s guys who are this potentially upside good. And everyone's like, well, is Vladdy really that guy? I don't know. Half his career has been not that guy. Half his career has been that guy. I just feel as he gets older, he's more likely to skew towards the more talented performer than he is as he, statistically, that's the way baseball players tend to work. Now, obviously, Bo had a season here that is an outlier, but dude, he's one of the best hitters in major. He's probably top 5 right now. And
Yeah.
people have been saying that's his talent all the way along. But I mean, I always keep this in mind too, like what Aaron Judge has done this last, since the beginning of May. People are talking about how it's a transcendent level of hitting, which it is. Just as an aside, nothing to do with nothing. Barry Bonds averaged what he's doing now for 4.5 seasons straight. So, like, it's amazing how much, like, we've kind of forgotten that. But Vladdy, man, everyone's like, sell. It was selling low. I signed Vladdy now. I believe that this will be mostly who he is for most of his career. He may just very well be what Edwin was, and you can't hit in April. Remember Edwin, man?
Yep.
Could not hit in April. And then every May, like one May, he hit like 17 home runs. Vladdy may just not be a guy who hits in April and May, because this is several years in a row where it's been like, what's wrong with Vladdy?
Right.
I don't know right now, man, but do you see anything wrong with that? Like, even guys who know baseball are like, this guy's locked in on a level that I can't even imagine.
It's a treat to watch, and look, he plays third every once in a while, and
which I find
this
cool.
week, I love it.
Big diving catch
but yeah.
a week ago.
Yeah. And listen, he makes some incredible picks at first. He's showing versatility. I don't know that he's playing for a contract because he's still under team control, but I think he's basically saying, if Tatis is going to get stupid money, if Soto's going to get stupid money, Judge is going to get stupid money, I belong in this conversation. And I think, whether or not it's a wise investment 10 years from now, I think you give Vladdy a key to the city, a key to the dome.
But when you're trying to rebuild a team, yeah, man, like you need 1 or 2 studs to build the team around, and they're just the perfect age for it. And you know, the 2 guys in question, Bo, who's got his own type of fandom. But see, the thing about Bo, man, is he gets 200 hits a year and ruffles no feathers, right? Like he's
just
not cocky,
yeah.
He's not flashy, he doesn't bat flip. Like Vladdy's way more flashy in his own way. Like Vladdy's more just big and gregarious. But I think those 2 pillars are a good thing. Those 2 pillars in a decent starting rotation, you can turn things around relatively quickly, especially if it turns out a couple of your own internal guys turn around. The other thing too is that, we never got a chance to see what Martinez had to do because of that unfortunate thing with performance enhancing. So look, his explanation seems to make sense. Colabello just admitted it, and this, that seems to it too. But he's a very talented player as well, and it's too bad we won't get to see him for the second half of the year.
Well, say that about Colabello. I missed what you said.
Oh, Colabello got nailed for violating the
Oh,
substance policy. He just
Yeah.
like eventually like he still said he didn't do it, but he didn't have much of an argument. This guy actually seems to have something that makes some degree of sense. So
Oh, I misheard you. I thought you said that Chris Colabello just admitted that he did.
I may have said
Drugs,
that,
like-
and I meant the other thing.
Okay.
I think I actually did say the exact opposite of what I meant, so you did catch that.
Okay.
I was listening. Yeah.
No, that's why I was like, what? No, I actually got an opportunity. I don't know if you remember when Chris was interviewed by Jamie Campbell.
Yeah.
I was one of the two cameramen filming that.
Oh, really?
Me and the DP named Paul Steinberg, who I've had a long relationship with. The two of us filmed Chris's, not confession, but his
Response?
his response with Jamie Campbell. Jamie is the nicest man in media, by the way. So kind, took
really?
time to
That's awesome.
shake
I'm
my
glad to
hand.
hear
Oh
that.
yeah, such a kind fellow. But yeah, it was two camera people, a sound guy, and Jamie, and yeah, that was it. Getting a message from you here. Is that related to this, or is that old?
Well, it must be
probably
old, my
old.
friend.
All right. Anyway,
What else are your silver linings, brother, for this year?
Silver Linings Playbook.
yeah.
So, I think we are. I think we are excited about Aston Varger. I think we're excited about Lo Perfido. Obviously, we talked about Varsho. What I'm excited about is I think we have an interesting addition of speed to the roster that we haven't seen in a little while. I've been thinking almost like how I build my MLB The Show teams. Why doesn't this team just stack up a few more guys who can steal third base without much thought? I love the running game in baseball, period. I just find it exciting. But yeah, we're starting to see some people who can handle their selves on the base paths.
I think
silver
part of the reason,
linings.
so,
Yeah, go
sorry,
ahead.
but part of the reason it's exciting speed is because you can't teach it, right? Like you can be like, oh, maybe this guy will become a better hitter. Maybe this guy will find the zone a little bit more. But like, if a guy comes up and he runs to first as like at a 60 out of 100, he's not going to be 75 next year. So that's, I think, what's exciting is that it can't be taught. So you've got something that's really rare. And I cut you off, man. I apologize.
No, it's okay. It's all good. Yeah, silver linings are just. I say this all the time, but baseball's fun. And even though I think 10 or 11 guys who were on your squad 2 weeks ago are gone, it's so fun to see Jano. Hate seeing that Red Sox uniform on him.
Although let's give
It's
credit
so
where credit's due. They're sweet unis. Those are nice unis.
Listen,
Boston's
they
got
look-
some classic unis. Yeah.
They're handsome. They're handsome
We
guys.
begrudgingly are like, yeah, that's kind of nice. Yeah.
Silver linings, like this is gonna make you laugh, but watching the Orioles this week, they've got a crazy young squad, and they're putting it together. They're putting on a good show, but they're gonna have ups and downs too, and so I'm looking forward to another decade of just frankly, I'm putting my gut on them signing Vladdy long term, but I think Vladdy. And it's interesting because you got Gausman and Bassett are sort of not in the tail end of their career, but they're towards the end of their time, and so we got to find some new young pitchers to back. But
Although Bassett strikes me as the type that'll be still chucking up curveballs at 44. You know what I mean? Like I forget that left-handed who pitched to Jimmy Moyer. Right?
Jamie Moyer. Yep.
Yeah, he's kind of got that repertoire as well, but. Yeah, I hear you, my friend. And
well, these guys are still fighting, right? You asked me what I saw this past week, and I know you didn't get as much time to watch the games, but these guys are rooting for each other. They're cheering each other. I mean, when they show shots in the dugout, these guys are chatting baseball with each other. They're not sort of towel over the head, just leave me alone. It seems like there's a tremendous amount of collaboration, and also things like we saw Bassett get ejected for yelling from the dugout about balls and strikes. coming to the aid of whoever was on the mound. I don't remember who it was. So the team, I think, is intact. I still think there's camaraderie there, and that's what you want to see. I'm a generally optimistic guy about this stuff. You know this, so we're not the White Sox.
No. Well, look, we got a chance for some young players, not all of whom are blue chippers, but I think a couple are going to be solid Major League Baseball players, and they're going to be that faster if they get a ton of at-bats. Maybe what finally clicked for Vladdy is he hit like 3,000 career at-bats. It's been, 5-6 years, 500 at-bats. Like, let's look at the statistics of most players, how many at-bats it takes before you see really solid, consistent hitting. The big silver lining for me, man, well, one, pitching continues to be good. And if next year they don't compete, they can move, even though it'll be for rentals. There will be real demand for front-end starters next year if they can't compete. Yeah. So it's a little bit less, but why not keep the door open? But for me, man, the big silver lining is that people are still going to the ballpark. The dome, Rogers Center is an empty, cavernous. I'm going there on middle of the week, and there's solid. Now, maybe it was because it was Hot Dog Tuesday or whatever, but really solid audiences. But like Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and on the weekends, people are still going. And we're saying the Jays suck, and we are hearing a lot of that. But what I do like is that the crowd are still coming out and supporting the guys that are there, and the guys that are left are still worth going to see. Like, Ernie Clement is a fun dude. You know what I mean? It's fun to watch him play. Barger's exciting. Will he be as good as he could be? Wow, Horwitz is not your prototypical 2024 hitter, but he hits. Like, bottom line, he hits. Maybe he doesn't do it with an uppercut. Maybe his launch angle isn't high, but whatever. Hit the ball hard, the ball will go. So that's what I love, is that the fans are still going.
We got 3 games against the Athletics coming up, and the Athletics, they're not a bowl over team. They're not a give up and quit team, but they're still a beatable team. And then we got the Angels, probably the same story. It's sad to see Mike Trout's done again. And then we get the Cubbies, and the Cubbies I think are doing a little bit better. I just have to look at the National League standings. But what's your prediction for the next 6 games against the Athletics and the Angels?
Yeah, just popped up something on the long-time listener, first-time caller, just saying, what about Vladdy at third? We can touch on that as quickly. But honestly, brother, last time I was on the show, I predicted 2 sweeps in a row, I believe, one before the All-Star break and one roaring out of the All-Star break. I did not hit that pitch. I swung my one off the plate there, but I did my absolute best. So I don't know. I do believe that what I do like seeing is I'm interested in seeing Rodriguez continue to start for the rest of the year. So I'm interested in seeing how that unfolds, because I think that's a good catch. Manoah, I'd love to see him come back. Pitching isn't a disaster, which is where really bad teams are screwed, when pitching is a disaster. So I'm interested in seeing. I haven't seen enough, man, to make a call. What I am interested in doing is getting a bit better feel of what this current team is like, and who are the guys to really keep an eye on. Like, some guys I think are up there right now filling in, but I think Barger, Clement, Horwitz, and Schneider are really getting a look about whether these guys are going to be starting baseball players, and I'm enjoying watching that. What do you think about Vladdy at third, just out of curiosity, before we sign off?
Oh, it's interesting. It's interesting because I think he should play wherever the heck he wants to play. I think he has earned a little bit of rope. I don't like that term. I think he has earned a little bit of a position of authority. No, here's the thing. I don't like the idea of talking about people hanging themselves. That's really what giving them rope means. I don't like that. So let's undo that. He's earned a position of authority, I think, to say, hey, I would like to play third. I can do it. He's going to make the odd error. But he went to first, I think, almost begrudgingly, but then learned how to do it really well. Yeah. He's made some special Gold Glove, frankly, plays. So do I want to see more of that? Sure, I do. But if we put him at third, and if he does what we've seen him do, put him at third.
Well, and honestly, man, what's the harm? Like, the season, it's not going to lose a game that's going to cost you a playoff. He's lost a bunch of weight. He's going to have a good time. And honestly, you're going to have a guy who probably isn't going to be a third baseman long term, but can play third base. And, that's pretty valuable in this. So I look at it this way, man. If he's hitting 500, playing wherever the hell he wants, he is not a liability. And even if he is right now, he'll become less of a liability the more he plays. And why not let him play when errors or liabilities actually aren't going to make things much worse than they already are? So let's try it. And you know what? It's fun. It's cool to watch. He wants to be great. And besides, I love watching him fire that rocket across. That is pretty cool because he's showing off every time he's showing off. Like, that's his thing.
Listen, it's baseball's entertainment, Drew, and I love it when he shows off. I'm here for it.
Yep.
Dump the buckets of ice and Gatorade and bring me the home run jacket.
Just look over your shoulder for the pickoff play, Vladdy. Just look over your shoulder for the pickoff play.
Drew,
I haven't fully let it go yet, brother. I really
you have to let it go. He's hitting 700 this week.
Is he hitting 700 this week?
No, I made that up. But
he's hitting 500 over the last 15 games. Like, that's not a streak. Like 500, look out. So honestly, man, other than Judge and Ohtani, is there someone you want to face less at the plate right now? And I don't know. And it's kind of cool to have that on your team. And I look at it this way, brother. Probably the Jays were going to have to spend X amount to extend Bo and Vladdy. And what's probably happened is as Vladdy goes up for the rest of the season, Bo, unfortunately, has probably lost a little bit of money if they wanted to do an extension, which probably means he won't sign one. He'll want another. It won't have to do with the Jays. I think him wanting to have another good season before he signs. But probably the amount of money is going to stay the same now because Vladdy's earned a little bit more. And unfortunately, Bo has probably taken a bit of a hit. So, but here's hoping that next year he gets really expensive again.
Well, we can hope for that, and it's not our money they're spending. So I guess
it's not your money. It's
yeah.
Look, they took a swing. They went for Ohtani. They went to change Toronto sports forever. They went to become legends, and they came up short. And sometimes you come up short and it's okay. Sometimes you come up short and taking the swing hurts you. And this time they fell in the muck. But I'd rather have people looking at Toronto as a world-class city, believing it deserves good things and going after it, than being like, oh, let's be realistic and probably won't happen, so why try? You know what? Getting that close to Ohtani was good for Toronto's image overall.
I agree with it, and you're bang on. And let's go Blue Jays. Let's go all the way.
Let's go all the way, man. It's so good to see you. Enjoy everybody. Enjoy your weekend. And hey, we had like the highest viewership we ever had at one time on Drew Jays Talk today. So we got to do a longer break every time.
Welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great week.
Me and Andrew are going to do MLB The Show this weekend. I will record highlights for next week's show.
You got to guard that bunt because I'm a bunting machine.
You'll put one up under your chin, brother. All right, you take good care of yourself. Much love to all of our viewers. This has been Drew Jays Talk. I'm Drew, so is he, but he's got an A in front of his name. That's because he's the best. All right, brother. Peace.